A told B and B told C, "I'll meet you at the top of the coconut tree." "We," said D to E, F, G, "I'll beat you to the top of the coconut tree." Chicka chicka boom boom, will there be enough room? Here comes H up the coconut tree. And I and J and tag along K, all on their way up the coconut tree. Chicka chicka boom boom, will there be enough room? Look who's coming, L, M, N, O, P. And Q, R, S and T, U, V. Still more, W and X, Y, Z. The whole alphabet up the, oh no! Chicka chicka boom boom. Skit scat scoodle doot flip flop flee. Everybody running to the coconut tree. Mamas and papas and uncles and aunts hug their little dears, then dust their pants. "What's up?" cried A, B, C. Next from the pile up, skinny D, and stub toe E, and patched up F. Then comes G, all out of breath. H is tangled up with I. J and K are about to cry. L is knotted like a tie. M is looped and N is stooped. O is twisted, alley-oop. Skit, scat, scoodle, doo, flip, flop, flee. Look who's coming, it's Black-Eyed P. Q, R, S, and Loose-Tooth T. Then U, V, W, wiggle, jiggle, free. Last to come, X, Y, Z, and the sun goes down on the coconut tree. But chicka chicka boom boom, look, there's a full moon. A is out of bed, and that is what he said. Dare, double dare, you can't catch me. I'll beat you to the top of the coconut tree. Chicka chicka boom boom. If you didn't know it, Chicka Chicka Boom Boom is written by Bill Martin Jr. and John Archambault. And then I just added the fun coconut tree backgrounds. I don't want you to think that I wrote this awesome book or anything. Are you missing the beach? I know I'm missing the beach. And I want to go on summer vacation. But since right now it's not summer, and since right now I can't go on summer vacation, I thought, how fun would it be if we just brought the beach to us and brought the beach to our artwork? So we're gonna create a coconut tree in honor of Chicka Chicka Boom Boom, and remember the beach and the full moon and how A said to B, "You meet me at the top of the coconut tree." So I hope you have fun with today's lesson, and I hope it reminds you of summertime and of the beach and of all things relaxing. Alright, so to teach you how to do this project, I'm first going to start with the background, and I'm going to use my watercolor paints for the background. But if you do not want to use watercolor paints, another option would just be to use like a blue piece of paper for the background, or you could use a blue piece of paper, like the top half blue, and then get a brown piece of paper for the bottom half where the sand would be. I, however, will be using a little bit of blue watercolor paint and a little bit of like a yellowish gold watercolor paint. And then I will also be using salt. I'll show you this watercolor painting method with salt. I mean, that's an option. Of course, all of this is just options. Use what you have and have fun creating. That's the biggest and most important thing here. So with my goldish yellow, I just put that on the bottom part of the watercolor paper. I tape my watercolor paper down. As you can see, I have it taped down to my clipboard there, and then that way it does not bend as much as it normally would. Like when you paint regular paper, it bends. Even watercolor paper, it bends, and so it works best if you tape down to the surface, and then you can paint it and it won't bend on you. Now here I'm going to use the salt, and you just sprinkle a little bit of salt on the wet watercolor, and this is going to help add to the sandy look of this. We will brush the salt off later, but for right now you just want to brush the salt off of the unpainted part of your paper so that you can paint the blue up there without any salt, because we only want the salt in the yellowish goldish color. We do not want the salt in the blue. So So I changed my water out to use the blue because if you remember, yellow and blue together would make green, and we don't want a green sky, we want a blue sky. So I switched my water out for my blue, and I'm going to paint a nice light blue up in the sky, and then that will complete my background, and I'll set it to dry. Next, I'm going to grab my palm tree PDF. You can find it in the description below. And I'm going to just loosely cut out each section. So I'll cut out the trunk of the tree, the coconuts, and then the palm branches. Just nice and loose, not right around it. So that way I can go in and cut neater now that I've cut those three apart. Remember to make a scrap pile. That always keeps your desk space organized. Now we're going to cut nice and slow on those black lines, and it's okay if you cut the black line off, and it's okay if you leave it there. That's up to you. Cut nice and slow like a little crocodile eating the paper, using your scissors hand to follow that black line open and shut, open and shut. And then your other hand is going to be the steering hand. It steers your paper like it would be steering the steering wheel of a ship or a car or something. So it steers your paper, and the only job of your scissors hand is just to open and shut and keep that nice and neat. And try to cut as neat as you can. It's always good to practice your cutting, because you will get better and better the more you practice. And remember, with those tight spots, like right now where I'm cutting, you kind of go in slowly from one side and then in from the other side, and it cuts it out really nice and neat for you, and then you continue on your cutting journey. So I'm going to go ahead and speed this up so that way you don't have to waste your time just watching me cut, and you can get on to your creative time yourself. So now I am going to use markers on my coconut tree. You can of course use your watercolor paint and just watercolor paint these, but I wanted to show you how to use markers in case there was somebody out there that does not have watercolor paint to be using. So markers are really nice washable markers because you can add water to them and make them look like watercolor paint. For my palm tree, I'm just going to draw 4 little lines coming out from the middle and out to the 4 different points of the tree. Then I'm going to quickly draw little lines coming out from those lines that came from the middle. So these are my palm branch lines, and I kind of just lay my marker on its side a little bit and draw my palm branch lines out. And I do that for each of my 4 palm branches. And then I'm going to go in with a little bit lighter green and add to it, but you don't even have to do that. If you only have 1 green, just use 1 green. And you can make lines like this, and it looks a little bit more like a palm tree. Next, I'm going to use brown, and I'm going to just make little lines on my coconuts, and they're just quick little lines. And lastly, I'm going to grab my trunk of my tree and lay it here and move my palms out of the way. And for this, I'm just going to put diagonal lines going one way to show the texture of the palm tree or coconut tree trunk. And then I'm going to put diagonal lines going the other way. You do not need to completely color this in. And then the next thing I'm going to do is grab a cup of water and a brush. And then I just use my brush to spread the water onto the markers, and as you can see, it lifts up a little bit of the marker and kind of creates a watercolor paint look without using watercolor paints. And that's a fun way to kind of make it look like it's a watercolor paint, but without actually painting it, because if we painted it, we wouldn't have been able to get those cool details of the palm. Of course, you can use watercolor paint just to paint it, or you can use the markers without adding water. These are all called artistic choices that you get to make. Now I'm grabbing my background from earlier. It is dry, and I'm just going to make little circles with my fingers on the sand part, and it is lifting that salt that we sprinkled on earlier. And I'm going to brush all the salt into a pile, and then I will dump that off. And as you can see, it's leaving behind lighter looking marks to make it look a little bit more sandy. And I'm putting out a little wipe, and I'm going to dump my sand, well, the salty looking sand or sandy looking salt, I guess it would be, onto a little wipe. And you want to make sure that all of that is off of there, because the glue won't stick super well if the salt's on there, and we have to glue down our palm tree or our coconut tree next. So make sure that all your salt is rubbed off of that bottom portion, and then you are ready for gluing your coconut tree. Before I officially glue my coconut tree, I will remove the tape off of this paper and remove the paper from the clipboard. Now all you need to do is grab your scrap paper and your glue stick, put glue on the back of each piece, make sure to cover it fully and get it on the edges and the corners, and then you glue it to your background paper that you made. I start with my tree trunk first, and then I will move on to the tree branches or the palm branches, and then lastly I'll put my coconuts on top. And I grabbed some markers, and I'm going to draw like a little A, a B, and a C, just to kind of show the idea of the Chicka Chicka Boom Boom book. You could put any letters you want to along your coconut tree. One idea I had was it might be cool to put the letters of your name along your coconut tree. That might look like a really cool option. But this is another one of those artistic decisions you get to make. Do you want letters on the side of your tree? What letters are you going to put there? So I hope you had fun creating with me today, and I can't wait till we can do it again.